Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show here on the More Than Philly Sports Network. Joined by who else? Gavin, Tony. Gavin, it's great to have you on today. We have a very exciting show coming up. Not only some great topics, we have an awesome guest coming on about halfway through the show. So, Gavin, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Talk about the guests. This is probably one of the second most anticipated guests we were waiting on having. We got DeMarco Murray on here. We're hoping we can bring him back. And the next guest we got on today is it's gonna be a good one. Zach, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I took some time this morning. I was really diving through some things. For those who don't know, the NBA exhibition start today. I was overcome with a little bit of emotion this morning, kind of just getting started with it again. It's been, for those who don't know, I mean, I've been very big into sports for the past few years, but I only became a major sports fan back in 2016. So I think Carson Wentz's rookie year and the energy of Joel Embiid really drove me to become a big time sports fan. So there's obviously emotional moments like winning the Super Bowl. That's one of two events I've ever cried in. The second one being the Lakers tribute to Kobe Bryant before their game this
That
year
was
after his death. But no, I mean, sports is a very moving thing, and it's supposed to unify. And so we speak about this all the time on the show. We talk about unity through sports. We laugh about the fact that we started a sports talk show when there were no live sports going on, trying to figure out additional topics to talk about. But it's today's the day. I mean, today we see, I believe, the Clippers and the Grizzlies kick it off today at 3 o'clock on
John
NBA
Morant, baby.
TV. And they have a few, I think, 3 or 4 games each team is playing in the exhibitions before the eight regular season games start off. I mean, Gavin, we're here. I mean, just a few months ago, back in March, when Rudy Gobert was diagnosed with the coronavirus, it was scary. And that night, the entire league shut down. Next few days, NHL shut down, MLB shut down, MLS shut down. It was very uncertain. The basketball tournament, March Madness, was just shut down. It was just unfortunate, and it's we don't. And again, we unify through sports when we face adversity, and the coronavirus just screams the adversity that we've all had to face. And given some of the social justice things that have up and come that we're all fighting so hard to work towards, it just there's nothing to turn to right now, and we're now starting to come back to it. So I'm really excited to return to that love of sports, but not to let it make us forget about what's going on, but just to unite us all and remind us of some of the great days that we've had and we've experienced. So I've just been really trying to reflect on that, and I'm really happy to be here today. And it's really exciting. I hope we can really break down some of these games tomorrow and then continue moving forward as we do get underway with sports.
Well said, sir, and I agree with you. Back in March, mid March to be exact, it was a scary time. No one knew what was going on. Things were closing down left and right. The NBA went down, colleges went down, no March Madness. Then ultimately our school system went down, and then everything just went down. And then to see where we are right now, fast forward a couple months, you go to June where social injustice and everything that's going on right now, which we thought, well, what wasn't in the light is now in the light, and it's going strong right now. It's just a lot going on. You know, we emphasize uniting through sports and to have sports back, and hopefully we can continue our message by doing it through sports and bringing you guys along with us. I know we talked about, watching games, reacting games together, and hopefully we can unite others and join and take our show elsewhere and unite there and just spread our positive message and to be together. But it was a long road, and the road for a lot of things is not over. The virus is not over. Social injustice is not over, but sports is coming back. So hopefully our message through sports will work.
I hope so. It should be very exciting. The storylines can continue. I was just thinking this morning, we really took time to reflect after last offseason. You see Russell Westbrook go to the Rockets. You see Anthony Davis go out to the Lakers. You see Kawhi and Paul George go to the Clippers. These are storylines that we look so forward to seeing this year. We saw them until March and it was cut short. And for a month or so at least, we had no idea if we were going to see that storyline finish. So now we get the opportunity to potentially see it finish. Again, there were no positive tests this week in the bubble, which is a good sign as they continue to move forward and start games. So I'm really looking forward to it, and we can actually see these storylines really live out and really come up to where they should be.
I believe that it's LeBron and AD are now holding the championship at the end of October. So, Zach, I know you disagree with that. I know you believe it's the other way around. But I think it's going to be, I think it might be the Sixers holding up the championship at the end of the year. I know that's a little far fetched. You know, Brett Brown's still coaching, but hey, everybody has hopes and dreams, man.
I agree with that. Takes us right into our first topic. We're talking about the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis. Are the Bucks expected to win the East? Gavin, you can go first.
I think so. Everybody's talking about how powerful the Bucks are, and just centered around one person, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Listen, the storyline. Let's just go through Giannis's career. Comes into the league, he wasn't all that. His development to where he began to now, and I'm talking about development as a player, as a everything. Look, Giannis has put muscle on, and he's gotten better every year. His jump shot, Zach, something that we emphasize for Ben Simmons. His jump shot for Giannis, it's coming. It's somewhat here. It's not consistent, but it's coming. Having said all that, let me start rating about Giannis. Let me go to the actual team. They have a lot of pieces for Giannis. They have pieces where Giannis can run in and kick out to a shooter, and Chris Middleton and Eric Bledsoe and Brook Lopez. And then you got Dante DiVincenzo off the bench, Ilya Solo off the bench. And I can go on about it. This team is well built. Mike Budenholzer is a great coach. All right. Kudos to this front office for realizing who's going to be a star here and how can they work around the star. And they did it well. And they're the reason why they're the best team in the East. And arguably, they're the reason why Giannis is going to be MVP this year. Zach, there's no denying about what we've seen. I think now Katie and Kyrie were fully healthy. I don't think they would have took the first in the East. I think this team still been first, but I don't think we would have seen pure dominance as Giannis did. But Giannis did not just dominate the East. He went to the West Coast. I remember, Zach, they had to play the Clippers and Lakers all in the same week, and they beat both teams at home in Milwaukee. They go out. We didn't get to see Giannis in LA. We didn't get to see that, but I would guarantee probably the same thing was going to happen. Both LeBron and AD were playing, so I don't see there can't be no excuse there. And Kawhi, I think Kawhi played as well, and I think Paul George was on his way back at the time.
Right now, I mean, they did play the Lakers that one game before the whole pandemic shut everything down, and the Lakers did win that game. But no, I definitely agree with you. You make a lot of great points. Giannis, in my opinion, is the MVP. There's no more elements that are going to be factored in now because whatever's happened has happened. Now let's get something straight here. Why did Giannis not make it to the NBA Finals last year? The reason for that is pretty simple. I mean, he walked through the Pistons, he walked through the Celtics even, and he didn't walk through, but he first two games against Toronto, they had no problem. Kawhi adapted, the whole team adjusted. You have Pascal Siakam. I like that team a lot last year, and that's the only reason that they didn't get there, and that was the team that would end up winning the NBA Finals. There should be nothing in the way for the Bucks this year. The Sixers give me, based on what I've seen already, give me zero reason to believe they're going to make the NBA Finals. I get it, Ben Simmons.
Can I ask you a question?
You go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, but let me ask you this question. So go back to Christmas Day and the massacre that was put on in Philadelphia.
We were very hot from 3-point range that game. That's not going to happen every single game. You saw what happened the next two times they played the Bucks. I'll make this very clear. Ben Simmons moving to power forward potentially makes us the best team in the East, but I'm not going to speak based on that. I know that we're both optimistic. We're both big Sixers fans. I want to sit here and say that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say it based on what we've already seen. And based on what I've seen in the past 2 months of the Sixers season, they have spacing problems. The defense is starting to break down a little bit, and they looked like they lost motivation. This hiatus was probably great for the Sixers. But with that being said, based on what we've already seen, there's no reason for me to believe the Bucks can't make the finals. The Celtics are not going to be a problem for them. It's pretty simple. The Celtics are a great team, true point guard, great shooting guard, good small forward, great power forward, and Jason Tatum if he's playing that power forward position. And then your center position is somewhat fair defensively. If you have Ennis Canner out there, that's pretty good. Or Daniel Tice, which are both great defensive centers and role players, like we've talked about before. But Giannis, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, that's enough, in my opinion, to really disrupt the Celtics. And yes, as it says in the comments, the Sixers got to prove something. But what about the Toronto Raptors? The Raptors are slept on. They have 18 losses, only 4 more than the Lakers. They're a good regular season team. They're a small team. I don't know really. I mean, Pascal Siakam's great. I think if Siakam's defense really steps it up and helps contribute to slowing down Giannis, or at least preventing him from kicking the ball out to his shooters, maybe they could potentially be a threat. But right now, the East is the Bucks for the taking.
Well, I want to go read this comment real quick. The Raptors are low-key slept on. They have 18 losses. That's 4 more than the Lakers. He's not wrong. Okay, we always sleep on the Raptors. I think once Kawhi left, I think we just kind of written the Raptors off. But here's why I don't believe the Raptors in the playoffs. This is why I think they might be a second-round exit, first round maybe. Because of this one thing. I think when I look at the Raptors, I say, all right, you have a Pascal Siakam. I remember last year in the Sixers series, Pascal Siakam didn't do that hot. He didn't really turn it on until I want to say maybe Milwaukee, and then in the finals. Okay, so Kyle Lowry, you already know the history of Kyle Lowry in the playoffs. He never shows up. All right, I don't got to bring the video up to show you guys. And then Nick Nurse is a great coach. I like Nick Nurse. Zach, I think Nick Nurse might be the fourth best coach in the East, maybe even third some days. So, having said all that, you got to look at it. Marcus Gasol. No one, Marcus Gasol, stop Joel Embiid. I don't know how. So, let me go to my main point right here. No one in the East right now. There's only one person that comes to mind, but that's even on an iffy day that can stop Giannis, and I think that might be Joel Embiid. But that's
It
not
has to go right. It's got to be motivated. I
It's
said like
inconsistent.
he can't do it, but what in the past month or two of the season shows you that he can do it?
Oh,
Sure,
nothing,
you can talk
nothing.
about Christmas Day. I mean, you can talk about Christmas Day when we were shooting 40+% from beyond the arc that game, which is very uncharacteristic for this team. Horford drained like 3 or 4 threes that game. Korkmaz was always as hot. I get it. There's things that we have changed since then, but I'm not going to use on paper. On paper, the Cleveland Browns were one of the best offenses last year. How'd that work out? It didn't. So I'm not going to use that argument. I'm going to just say, based on what I've seen so far this season, the East is the Bucks to win.
Well, also too, Zach, you want to talk about on paper? I look at this team on paper and I'm like, well, the Sixers defensively, they should be defensive gods. Everybody can guard wherever. Ben, we always said Ben can guard 1 through 5. Joel, maybe sometimes he's not the best perimeter defender, but he can do it sometimes, especially when it comes to contesting the shot versus a point guard. But when it comes to stopping Giannis, it's a whole nother feature. Okay, you gotta put the quickness, the athleticism, and his strength. All right, Giannis is a strong person. He looked skinny when he first came in the league, but now he's 7 foot. I don't care what anyone says. It says 6'11", but I see a pure 7 footer in Giannis. There's only one person, like I said, Joel Embiid, but that's inconsistent. We've seen it sometimes where last year Joel Embiid gave Giannis 41 points, but JoJo had like 36. It was on one Sunday special game, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
It's not consistent with these guys. And I only think the reason why the Bucks lost or didn't go to the finals last year is because fun guy Kawhi, the best defender in the league, said, hey, we're not having none of this. This is too much fun. That's how I think of it. He said this is too much fun. What happened? They lose. They don't win another game since that. I think if there's a year to do it, this is the year for the Bucks to do it. Like I always say, I emphasize this a lot. Every team is at 0 right now. That we know of, no other team has played basketball that we know of, but everybody should be on the same playing field. Whatever streak you had going in to the highest does not matter now because that momentum is gone. You start from ground zero, my friend.
Right. With that being said, next year Giannis's contract is up this year. Actually, we got to see what's going to happen with him. You got to convince him to stay in Milwaukee, or else we're going to have the decision 2.0. But with all that being said, next year Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving come back. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid might gel together even better. We might even get some more shooters.
Hope with a new coach.
Might go out and get a small forward they need. This is the year for the Bucks to do it. They don't have enough around him. Giannis is that good to the point where he can thrust that team forward. But they're going to have to do it this year, or else you might even potentially lose him too, which we'll have to speculate on that. But Gavin, any final statements on this topic before we get to the next one?
Giannis to the Sixers. You got to do it now. The East is down, all right? No Bradley Beal, no John Wall, no Kyrie, no KD, all right? The East is weak, but next year the East is going to be here with KD, Kyrie coming. John Wall, I think, is coming back. John Wall hasn't played in 2 years. I know it's a little unfair to say. The East is coming. It would never be as great as the West, but they're coming. So you guys got to be ready. Or if you guys want to win, you got to go now.
I agree. We'll have to see what happens with that. But let's get on to it, Gavin. I know we asked our guest yesterday's question. I don't know if you and I really had an opportunity to dissect this at all, but who's going to take the 8th seed in the West? Right now, the top 3 candidates are the Pelicans, the Blazers, and, of course, the Grizzlies, who currently hold the spot. I think Phoenix is in the bubble, too. I'm not really sure how they're going to find a way to get there, but they got 8 games. And so the Grizzlies hold a slim lead at the 8th seed. John Morant's good. Again, we talked about yesterday. There's a shot at Ja to say that another team might top the Grizzlies, but we don't know. First of all, Gavin, let's set this straight.
Yes, sir.
Who's your rookie of the year?
John Morant.
John Morant. All right, good. Not Zion Williamson. John Morant, again, John Morant's a better player. He's played more right now. I know Zion is a great player, and if he played the full season, probably would be because he's been nothing but dominant. But, Gavin, let's get your thoughts on it. Are the Grizzlies going to hold on? And if not, who's taking the 8th seed?
Well, remember, guys, look, it's only 8 games. You only got 8 games to do this. And if you take a look at the standings, look, the Grizzlies have 4 game lead already against the Portland Trailblazers. Now I remember a great friend of the show, Philly, the third member of the show. He brought up an interesting comment saying that NBA execs want to see LeBron versus Zion. The Prince versus the King. They want to see that. So what happened? The Pelicans got the easiest schedule to get into the playoffs. The Grizzlies have the hardest. But you can't out jump. You have to make that. The Grizzlies have to lose 14 or 4 games before they can even.
And the Pelicans have to go perfect.
And the Pelicans have to go perfect, and the Blazers have to lose as well. That's not happening. If you guys watch Ja Morant, if you guys seen this team the whole year, Ja Morant literally will put you on your back and go. Just look what Murray State went in the playoff, or excuse me, in
March Madness
last year. Went to the second round, right? Second or third. I think they went. I think they went third.
You got recognition during that. I'll tell you that much.
Well, yeah, everybody know who Ja Morant was after that. Ja Morant was second overall in the draft. I will say this. If you were to think that Zion Williamson is going to hop into the playoff, if you think Zion Williamson is going to hop into the playoffs, there's a fair chance he could, but you have to jump over 2 teams. You guys can't forget, they just don't elevate over to the 8th spot. You gotta get it past the Blazers, then you gotta get past the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies all they gotta do is win 3 out of their 8 games, really, or 4 out of their 8 games, and they're in. The Grizzlies are going to the playoffs.
It's an interesting point. They're a young team. I'm pulling up their schedule as we speak to kind of get a good feel for it. But they play the Trailblazers, the Spurs, the Pelicans, the Jazz, the Thunder, the Raptors, and then 2 more games after that, which are against the Celtics and the Bucks. It's not an easy schedule, Gavin. If Zion's back in the bubble against the Pelicans, that's a loss. The Trailblazers, I think Dame is determined that could potentially be a loss the first game back. Spurs, that should be a win. The Jazz, that's going to be a loss. The Thunder, that's probably a loss. Raptors,
that might be a win.
You can go either way. And then Celtics and Bucks, I see them winning 2 of those games, Gavin. So they can still make it. So what does that mean? The Pelicans are going to have to win.
The Pelicans have to go perfect.
They have to win 6 of the games. They got to win 6 games. So I'm going to put the Pelican schedule because the Pelicans are a better team than the Grizzlies.
Well, Zach, I will say
the record doesn't show that because Zion's been out a lot of the year, but the Pelicans are better.
Well, Zach, if Zion played the full year, I think they would have been a 5th seed easily. There's no Golden State this year. So what do? You lose Golden State, a playoff team. You had to add in another playoff team. The Grizzlies were your playoff team, so I think they would have been the 5th seed if Zion plays. So I want to read this comment. I was going to say I think that the Grizzlies can keep it. They've been facing adversity all year this season, which is true. They have. And if you think that the Pelicans can jump against or jump over playoff Damian Lillard, because Damian Lillard is going to be playoff mode. So
getting swept by the Warriors in 4.
Well, listen, Golden State
they had the lead in the third quarter every one of those games.
Exactly, but here's the thing. Playoff Damian Lillard, he's gonna make you there. And Zach, I remember telling you this. I said this format is made because of him. Like we always say, I emphasize this, guys. Careful what you say, because you may say something, but all it takes is one person to say something, and things get blown out of proportion, or new things happen as you look at the MLB, Blake Snell, as you see what's going on in Orlando. Thanks a lot, Damian Lillard. Can't really blame Dame Doll for everything, but he was really vocal about it. Having said all that, Zach, the Grizzlies are not losing this 8th spot. They're not losing this 8th spot. If you think Ja Morant went all the way down to Orlando just to lose the 8th spot, you're wrong. That's wrong.
You got Devin Booker going down there with almost 0 chance. But no, I'm going to have the Pelican schedule now. They're playing the Jazz first. That's a loss. Clippers, that's a loss. Grizzlies, that's a win. Kings, that's a win. Wizards, that's a win. Spurs, that's a win. Kings, again, that's a win. And Magic, that should be a win. That's more than 6 games, Gavin. So according to that, they should jump it. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say that the Pelicans, not the Blazers, will jump the Grizzlies and take the 8th seed. And we will see Zion versus LeBron exactly like the NBA wanted it.
Well, I'm going to be disappointed because I don't think Zion deserves to be there this year. He didn't play the full season. And honestly, I don't want to see that.
He's come back and he's averaging great numbers.
I understand that, but I don't want to see that. I know we got our Duke apparel on today because our guest is from Duke, but Look, I don't want to see that. You can't hit if you
How
ever
do you not
want
want
to
to see the two number one overall picks who had high expectations coming in the league and are
but
fulfilling them so far?
but Zach, here's the thing. You gotta look at this. They were on the outside looking in. You have to jump two teams. And
Well, the
the
Blazers are
one team has a
1.5
nice
back. They're 3.5 back of the Grizzlies.
but all you gotta do is just win four. And if they lose four, there is that John Morant is not going
The
down on
Pelicans are
the
winning between 5 and 6, and the Grizzlies are winning between 2 and 3. It's not anything against John Morant. We said yesterday. It's not a shot against him, but they're not as great matched up against a lot of these teams as people want to think that they are.
Philly, you're right. I think the Phoenix Suns and the Sacramento Kings and the Spurs are there just to play spoiler. They're gonna ruin over one of these teams. One of these teams are gonna get ruined
It's
by
going to be
by one of
Grizzlies.
those teams. They're not here to play playoffs. They're just here to ruin someone's day, as I like to call it.
Now, here's a fun fact, though. Ever since Tim Duncan was drafted, Greg Popovich and the Spurs have never missed the playoffs. If it happens this year, that would be the first time.
Well, Pop, in my opinion, Pop is the second greatest coach, maybe third greatest coach of all time. No replacing Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson will always be the greatest to do it. I think Pop is here, arguably second or third. So if he misses this, it wouldn't really tarnish his record nor anything. It would just be like, oh man, better luck next year.
We'll just see what happens. It's going to be exciting, Gavin. I'm going to be keeping you to that. We have our little storyline going on now. I'm rooting for the Pelicans, though. I think they're a good team. I like them a lot, and we'll see what happens.
I can't wait to see. I hope the Grizzlies make it, just so I can come on here and say I told y'all so.
Oh, yeah. All right, so we do have our quick ad plug, and then we do have our one more segment before we get started with the guests. Going to be a lot of fun. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewer's choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes two 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. Again, we are going to be wearing our masks soon. Our goal is to be able to go do either an Eagles pregame live or some sort of More Than Philly sports show on the road. Should be a lot of fun with our masks. They should be coming in next week. Going to be very exciting. Stay tuned for it. We hope to see you and yours as well. Gavin, down to baseball. Who is your favorite to win the World Series? We're talking about New York City. And no, not the Knicks. I know you're very passionate about the Knicks, but we're talking about the Yankees today. Aaron Judge is healthy. They're looking good. The Astros are not supposed to be cheating this year. And then we look at Mookie Betts, who's been sent to the Dodgers as if they weren't good enough already and probably would have a ring if it wasn't for the Astros banging on trash cans. Gavin, who is your favorite to win the World Series?
I love Mookie Betts. I really do. All right. Cody Bellinger. I love Cody Bellinger. But I have to go with the Yankees on this one. And here's why. Their bullpen is better than the Dodgers. You got Adam Ottavino. You got Aroldis Chapman. So on and so forth. I can keep going. You got Garrett Cole. You got Marshall Tanaka. You got Severino. You want me to keep going? You got Paxton. And then let me get to the hitters. Any one of their hitters can hit home runs. Any one of their hitters can destroy or ruin the game at any point in time. Any order in the lineup can be ruined. Gary Sanchez, Aaron Judge, DJ LeMahieu, Cameron Maybin, Luke Voigt. You want me to keep Giancarlo Stanton? Now let me go to the Dodgers. They got Mookie Betts. Arguably, I keep saying this, arguably one of the best players in baseball. Sometimes. Cody Bellinger, arguably another good player in baseball. But I think it all falls to their bullpen and their pitching. You run Clayton Kershaw out, which they might save him this year because it's only 60 games. But Clayton Kershaw gets burnt out a lot early in the year. And they try to rely on his arm in the playoffs, and ultimately it doesn't happen. Yeah, we can go on the fact and say, well, they should have won with this World Series, but they got cheated, and then the Boston one, which I don't think that cheating was as bad as what Houston is. Oh my God, Houston, they have a whole setup. They had like a whole
and everything. So Jose Altuve last year after the walk-off on Aroldis Chapman.
Exactly, same thing. And the Yankees also got cheated as well. Aaron Judge deserves his 2017 MVP. All right, but I'm not going to get into that. That's another day. So I look at these teams and I go, okay, Mookie Betts, Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, Giancarlo Stanton. There's just a lot on the New York side that I like, and also pitching. All their pitchers can be good. What happened last year in the World Series for Washington? Their pitching and their bullpen became
The
great.
pitching was insane last
It's
year.
insane. They had a three-headed monster. New York has a four-headed monster with Tanaka, Cole, and Severino and Paxton. It doesn't get no better than that. You got a lockdown, a Aroldis Chapman who got unlucky by Jose Altuve, a short dude who hit a monstrous home run. I think there was a little buzz in his chest, Zach. I don't know. We would never know, but I'm not even surprised anymore. Let me relax. Go back to the point. I picked the Yankees to be the World Series favorites. I think they will win. I would like to see this matchup. I think it goes to 7.
And with the 7 last year, it was very exciting. Not a single home team won it last year. The Houston Astros lost last year, so we're all happy about that. But I'm going to take it back for a second. Based on the current schedule, the Yankees play a depleted Red Sox team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what the Orioles are trying to do. The Orioles, the Blue Jays,
Who play pitching?
Rays have one of the best bullpens in baseball. You play the Nationals, who are on the downturn after winning the World Series, but hey, you still got to give them respect. You play the Braves, who are a good team. You play the Mets, who are sitting in mediocrity. What else was new in New York? You got the Philadelphia Phillies, and you have the Miami Marlins. They probably have the easy. Our divisions are probably the easiest schedules out there. I mean, the Yankees could arguably win 50 games and go 50-10, go something like that. Crazy. It's a 60-game season. What could happen? I mean, we don't know what it's going to look like this year, but I think they're going to pull ahead early in their division. They're going to start to relax at the end of the year, and they're going to unload it on in the playoffs. So it's hard to go against you on this, Gavin. I don't think I'm going to. I think I have to agree that the Yankees are definitely going to give every team a run for their money. I don't see much competition. The Astros are still a good team. I mean, I know they cheated and all that. I know it's hard to say, Gavin. I know we still have to talk about whether the Astros treated fairly or not, depending on what happened with the situation with the cheating scandal. But with that being said, their Astros are still going to be a team out there. The Minnesota Twins are supposed to still be getting up there. The Rays are still going to be a great team.
Chicago.
Red Sox, we all know we're done. Chicago
White Sox are going to be proud.
Turn it over to the National League. I mean, you got the Dodgers. A couple other teams are good. The Brewers, Christian Yelich is going to be back healthy this year. The Philadelphia Phillies, we don't know what's going to happen with us, but Atlanta, I do like Atlanta Braves a lot. It wouldn't shock me if it's Braves and Dodgers in the NLCS this year. Again, I'm not counting out the Washington Nationals. Really should never do that, given that they won the championship last year. The Raptors are still very much in the running this year. But I mean, I like the Dodgers a lot. I love their offense. And Clayton Kershaw, I mean, when you're throwing the guys who know what you're throwing, it's kind of hard to be able to play well. But you're right. They definitely relied on him a lot in the past few years and got burnt out right at the end, right in the World Series. And they're starting to remind me of the 1990s Buffalo Bills, where they keep going and they keep losing. Now, could they have been cheating out? Sure, but what happened has happened. And your team is better and stronger than ever. I think that the Dodgers should be able to go get a run for their money. They should win the NL. And yes, Gavin, I agree. It's going to be a great series if it is Yankees and the Dodgers.
Well, Zach, you're right. This is the easiest division. The Yankees could probably go all 60-0 if they really cared. But you got to think about it from a Phillies fan perspective. The only team I'm really fearing, or 2 teams, or 3 teams I'm really fearing is Washington, Yankees, and Atlanta. Remember, New York gets to beat up on the teams you name. We get to beat up on, the depleted Orioles and Miami Marlins. And
no, we lose to the Marlins.
I know.
I'm not even going to disrespect them. We lost to the Dolphins this year. We got swept by the Marlins.
Miami is Philly's biggest kryptonite, is what you're trying to say. We even lost them in basketball. So,
lost to Miami Heat.
So having said all that, going in my top 10 best NL teams, I saw a lot of teams take a step back this year. Like the Brewers. I think the Brewers took a step back this year. They lose Mike Moustakas, arguably another great back.
Which is going to help.
And then Yelich is going to come back healthy. We don't know what he's going to, not a lot of guys can come back quick like that. I think another big thing, but I think we're top 10, we're number 6 in best teams in the NL. I think it goes Dodgers. I think it goes Washington because they won. You got to give them the respect. I think it goes Atlanta.
And you're going to put the Brewers at 4?
I'm not putting the Brewers at 4.
Put them at 5?
They're 5. Yeah, they're 5. I think. Well, you got to go off the teams that were there. I don't want to put. I can't.
Where are the Phillies at 6 then? They fell off last year. If you want to talk about that.
But here's the Phillies at 6 because I think I'm going off this year, Ray. I'm going off this what I think of this year. You get a new manager. A new manager changes a lot. I might be a little biased because I'm saying 6 because I'm a
No,
Phillies
I
fan.
get it. I definitely like the Phillies this year. I like them in a 60-game sprint, but definitely not 6 yet. And the Brewers are definitely higher than 5.
But there's a lot of great NL teams, but not a lot of teams are complete. The Rockies don't have great pitching. The Diamondbacks don't have the best of hitting, but they got some decent pitching. You know,
Nationals are a great pitching team, a great defensive team, and they're still pretty good
the
offensively.
the Dod- the Padres have two good hitters in Tatis and Machado, but the pitching it's here and there. You can't ignore St. Louis. St. Louis destroyed the the Atlanta Braves just to get destroyed by Washington, and they have Paul Goldschmidt and Jack Flaherty, who's arguably the best or one of the best pitchers in the league, maybe top 10. I'm not sure. Zach, you can't ignore these teams, but every NL team, if you look at them, they're not perfectly built. They're not. They all have their flaws. Some of it's pitching, some of it lacks hitting. I feel like the Phillies, or what besides the Dodgers, not talking about Dodgers, I feel like the Phillies are somewhat well rounded. They have talent here and there. Now, does the talent show up? I don't know. I'm depressed. I don't like the Phillies to just bum me out. But I would lie to you and say they didn't have talent, but they do. So that's
Yeah.
why I put them at 6. And you get great managers, so I'll put them at 6.
All right, we hope that makes a difference. All right, so we right after this we have our special guest coming on. We'll continue our discussion of baseball, including whether or not the Astros should be punished. We'll be talking about that tomorrow, as well as further through the week as the season gets started. We'll be back right after this. Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page, where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because and again, this month we will be donating to a foundation helping support minority entrepreneurs. Very exciting. We'll continue to provide more details as we continue. With that being said, we'd like to welcome in now our special guest, Anthony Nash, who played at our high school football, has also played at Duke University, has been on a few NFL practice squads. Anthony, it's great to have you on today. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Appreciate y'all for having me.
Anthony, well, first of all, thank you for coming out. And I've been anticipating this moment. For those that may or may not know, we're related. We're related.
Yep.
We talk a lot. I've been trying to get him on the show for a long time since we started, and Mr. Busy Man. But Anthony, how you doing?
I'm good, man.
I'm good. That's
Getting
good,
pretty.
man. We're good to hear. So, you want to give the people a little background? Just a little bit about you.
Yeah. So I'm a graduate of Westchester Ruston. Played football, basketball, and track there. Had a pretty good high school career. Went out, got a scholarship to play football at Duke University. Played there for 5 years, and had the opportunity to try out for the NFL and chase a dream. And currently ending up I have a couple more months left in graduate school to get my doctorate in physical therapy, man. So life has been awesome and strange and mysterious and pretty good, man. Can't complain about any of it.
Dr. Nash is going to be the new nickname. I'm going to put that in my phone for you. Well, well, for those who may or may not know, you've been to a lot of bowl games. You've been to a lot of bowl games. You played with a lot of people that are in the NFL now, such as Jameson Crowder and Daniel Jones. But before I get into that, I want to ask you, what is the recruiting process like to get to Duke and all that stuff?
It's frustrating, but it's also a beautiful process. When you go through it, you have a lot of nerves and anxiety about the whole thing, but just making sure you're picking the right school that fits your talents and, and helps you grow as a person and also as a player. But it's fun, man. I started getting recruited after my junior year. I had a pretty good junior year. I was blessed to have a good team and a good quarterback that allowed me to have a good amount of stats to be all state first time trying out for football. So that was pretty of a blessing. So the recruiting mostly started with local schools, which was schools that I thought I would be able to get for basketball, but that wasn't the fact being. Unfortunate. Um, but you have many schools from going to Temple, Villanova, not Westchester, which was kind of messed up. But I would have definitely considered Westchester. That'd be pretty cool. It'd be a legend like Rondell White. That'd been pretty dope. But obviously, I wasn't good enough for that. When I started getting recruiting from Penn State, that's when I thought football could be super serious. And also when I was getting recruited by UNC, because little do people know that was my dream school growing up. So how ironic that all is.
That's ironic indeed. No, definitely choosing Duke. But no, definitely curious to hear a little bit more just about the whole experience as you started to assimilate into the environment at Duke playing there. You did redshirt your freshman year. You mentioned you were there for 5 years.
Yeah. So when I guess decided on picking Duke, when you get there as a freshman, you think you're the baddest man on campus because you were so great in college or in high school, rather, that you really didn't think it would not that it would translate and that you would be the best player. And all the coaches, they say whatever they have to say for recruiting purposes. But I remember my first practice out there and just getting stunned, but just how athletic the college level is and how competitive it is. I remember when my first camp there, we had a scrimmage and they threw a screen. And usually, I catch a screen and take it to the house in high school, which was very simple. But I remember right when I caught it, the corner just tore me apart. I had snot coming out my nose and everything. And that's when I realized, yeah, I'm not ready for this game yet. So, it's a blessing that I got redshirted. I know in the fact, it's definitely disheartening, but definitely grew up a lot with that redshirt year, getting stronger and just acclimated to how tough, just college football is and how physical it is compared to high school.
And that's definitely one of the things too, as far as some of the biggest changes that you notice, maybe whether it be with the cornerbacks or some of the coverages that you had. What are some of the biggest changes that you like you mentioned, you pointed out with the screen, maybe just in your route running, some other things that you noticed were big jumps from going to playing high school football to Division I ACC football?
Yeah, it's just understanding the game of football. In high school, they don't really teach you that much. Just like the X's and O's is basically just, well, for me personally, just catch a football and just run. Definitely route running. I didn't really know how to run routes from the high school level, but just understanding space and how much spacing is important in football, and understanding that being on the same landmark and the timing and repetition that you have to do makes the whole game a lot more slower and a lot more easier. And just taking that and you grow on it every year in college is definitely what you notice the most out of players who are going to be like Daniel Jones. Just for an example, when he first came in as a freshman, he wasn't as accurate. I mean, he had the potential you could see, but when he got challenged in camp, and knowing that he had to get better, that's when you get better as a player and as a person. Compared to high school, you're already at that level, so you kind of have an ego in a way, instead of actually understanding that I need to work because there's always somebody that is working that's trying to be better than what I am. So it kind of gives you that conscious attack to constantly work, and that's what I definitely had to learn in college, was that you have to work for what you want. You can't just go up there and show up. You have to work and outwork whoever it is, just to get what you want. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. It's more, you have to be an adult for sure.
No, I can only imagine. So I have one more question, then I'll shift it over to Gaven. What would you consider? What was one of your most favorite moments as a player at Duke?
Probably beating UNC to go to the, I guess, the ACC championship. That was the biggest one. It was a big point for Duke. It was a big point for me because I never understood winning a championship in high school as much as in college. So it was just a shift in my, I guess, mindset of how and who I want to be. And it was just a big for the program. So it's pretty awesome.
No doubt. And I want to go back. So let's go back to Notre Dame. You had 3 touchdowns. You beat Notre Dame 38-35.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, yeah, 2 touchdowns. Excuse me. 6 catches,
Yeah.
123 yards, 20.5 yards per average.
Mm.
So that was obviously one of my favorite games. That and the bowl game in New York. So what is one of your favorite college games or teams you played against?
For just from a personal standpoint, from stats, it would have to be the Notre Dame game because just the atmosphere it was and how well I played. Atmosphere was probably when we played 4 overtimes at Virginia Tech to beat them on their homecoming. That was a crazy game, and it was tiring, and they thought they were going to destroy us. So those are my two. If we're going on that standpoint,
No,
anytime we beat UNC, it's also fun.
no doubt. I've been to multiple games, Zach, down there, and it's crazy down there. Especially the
To
first
get down
game,
there, yeah.
the first home game. They go to the hotel, they stay there. They have like this big parade. The place walk through marching band and everything. Anthony, I remember marching band is loud down there. So another question I want to
Yeah,
ask you is:
yeah,
it's New York, it's the day after Christmas. It's cold. You're in Yankee Stadium. You guys you beat Indiana to win the Pinstripe Bowl. What's the feeling? What's the feeling for that?
it's awesome because we've been to multiple bowl games every year and we lost and came up short. So when you finally win one, um, it's like a monkey's just coming off your shoulders, um, and it just builds you for the next year. Unfortunately, my next year wasn't that good, but or our next year wasn't that great as a team. But it was an awesome feeling to experience it, and
No
it was
doubt.
stupid cold. Gosh,
No doubt. You know, it was unnecessary cold, but it was all worth it at the end of the day. We saw a lot of great faces. It was not all fun. I got to go down there and watch the game. It was cool. So
yeah, it
before I
was
hand
fun.
it back to Zach, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So wide receivers in today's NFL, right? You
Hmm.
see the Julio Jones, the 6'3", 6'4", quick specimens. They're freak of natures. They're good. You
Yeah.
yourself, 6'3", 6'4", you're not slow either. I tried to challenge you to a race and that was a mistake. I should never did that. And so let me ask you a question. Do you think wide receivers if you're a tall wide receiver, do you think it's better to be a tall wide receiver in the NFL? Like, do you think the NFL looks at tall wide receiver or short wide receivers?
I don't think you can't really divide it because each person or each height has their set of skills that the other can't really do as well. So it's kind of hard to cut out one from the other. Bigger receivers can use their body more, but shorter receivers can get in and out of their breaks a lot easier. So it's depending on what you want as a team. I mean, if you want to be a more powerful team, then you're probably going to see more bigger receivers that are more physical and then that can attack the ball more than a team that wants more speed that probably have more finesse receivers that are more in route running and getting out. So I feel like you can't just go from one side to the other. You just have the freaks that can do both, which is like Julio Jones and Larry Fitzgerald and yada yada.
You definitely have the guys, the bigger physical receivers, even Michael Thomas, physically catching the ball, the smaller speedsters, Tyreek Hill, a lot of them like that.
Mm.
So I'd be curious to hear, Gavin, we break this down a lot on the show, and our answers are pretty similar on this. Who would you consider your top three wide receivers currently in the NFL?
Ooh. Um, Probably I'm not. I don't have an order.
No order. That's fine.
Probably Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins. Oh wow. And probably Julio. Yeah.
Seems we, for the most part, we all pretty much agree on that. Gavin's a little bit more on the shade side throwing at Michael Thomas. A lot of people talk about his short route running. I think it's impressive to consistently do those kinds of
Yeah.
things and still win your routes over corners and things like that. So maybe one more question on that end as far as some of the top receivers in the league. You think about the route running, the speed, but on the opposite side of the ball, the Cowboys and the Patriots this year, Stephon Gilmore locking down Amari Cooper. Who would you consider your top three corners in the league in man coverage?
Ooh, man coverage, corners. Oh man, I don't even know if he's really out there. Uh, doo, doo, doo. Not anybody on the Eagles for sure.
Maybe Darius Slay will change our minds this year.
Hopefully.
Yeah, Darius Slay's all right, but he's not really one. Probably Stephen Gilmore for sure. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't even know if the corners are really out there. Yeah, I don't really look at them, so I don't really even know, honestly. Like, who's the top corner out there right now?
I would think it'll be Stephon Gilmore. He's rated 99 at Madden, which
I always think Gilmore, Tre'Davious White, Marlon Humphrey, Richard Sherman's still up there. But so, did you have an opportunity to face any notable corners in college?
In college, only person that I really think's notable, maybe Artie Burns, if he's out there. I went against Avonte Maddox quite a bit because he played at Pitt.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's really out there. Stroman's out there from Virginia Tech, but he's more of a special teams guy. Yeah, those are probably the only two notable people that I played. But in NFL, going against Chris Harris Jr., I mean, that guy's pretty. I guess I would add him up there because he's unbelievable. And just Aqib Talib's size, man, he's huge. For a corner that can also move and be physical with you, he's pretty good too.
I can imagine. So I have one more question. I'll shift it over to Gavin. We can talk a little bit more on the NFL practice experience you had. You played with both the Broncos and the Cowboys practice squads?
Not the Cowboys.
Not Cowboys.
I was the Colts and the Saints.
Okay, so what were some of the experiences that you had that were maybe notable from those experiences?
Mainly is from Denver because I was there the longest. But it's just surreal playing when you're actually on the field, when you see Von Miller, Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders when he was out there, and just all like the linemen, and then like you're having practices with all the fans and stuff. It's kind of a surreal moment. And probably when my first preseason game, actually all of them, because you really don't get many, and it's just like you just know it's a dream come true. Like when I had my first catch, and like the game was over or whatever, and you just think back like, wow, it's a dream come true, and I actually made it. It's a pretty good feeling. So
no doubt. I know there's a video of you catching a touchdown pass in practice, and it's pretty fantastic. Did you get to go against any of those corners like Chris Harris Jr.? I think Aqib Talib was there. That was his final year there. Did you get to match up against any of those guys? And if so, how was that experience?
It was good. Definitely when you get one of them, and you run a good route on them, and you make them fall or whatever. It's a pretty good feeling because like you can actually compete at their level. It gives you that certain type of confidence, and like the NFL guys aren't really all like that, and that you can be as good as them too. It just gives you that type of feeling. But they also give you that feedback, and they want you to also be like as best as you want to be. A lot of people think of the NFL as like super cutthroat between players, but players probably want the best for you in most cases. So that's probably the one stigma that's like very not true. So like when you go to practice, everybody's competing, regardless if you're the top player or if you're an undrafted guy that's just on the bench ready for somebody, whoever gets hurt. Everybody's competing, and every day's kind of like a game. So you're getting each other's best, and everybody have respect.
No doubt. Those are some really great corners. I think you took one of them in the red zone and called a touchdown pass, so that will forever go down as legendary. I want to switch gears. I need to ask you. You're a basketball guy. Like you said, your time at Ruston, you played basketball. You thought you were going to go to college for basketball. Ended up going for football, which was not a bad choice either as well. You went to a really great school in Duke. We love Duke. So now going to basketball. The NBA restart is happening. The restart for basketball is happening. Who are your favorites to win? Who is the favorite to win in your eyes? To win MVP and the finals?
Oh, gosh. Well, I would hope the Sixers would win. That would probably be my super happy about that. But I think, I don't know, my gut's telling me the Lakers are going to win, and I think the MVP would be LeBron for that. But that's just my gut.
So,
I hope the Sixers, man, that'd be freaking awesome.
Well, the city would go nuts over that. I know everybody will.
The city needs it. The city
needs something, yeah. And there's a question that we ask every guest on the show. Zach, Zach, you already know I'm about to bring up. It's called the GOAT debate. Anthony, we have this segment on the show where we like to ask who's the greatest player of all time when it comes to the NBA. Zach says
The
LeBron.
greatest of all-
Zach says LeBron James. Dom Amoroso, our good friend of the show, said he said he said Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Trent brought up a great point with different decades, but he said Michael Jordan. Rondell said Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, either one of those two. I'm on
DeMarco
Jordan.
DeMarco said MJ.
DeMarco Murray said Michael Jordan. So I said Michael Jordan. So Anthony, I gotta ask you, the greatest player of all time, who you got?
in the NBA, greatest player of all time. Jeremy Lin. Just kidding.
I like that answer. We'll have to put it down.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
When Sanity, back when the Knicks were relevant.
Back when the Knicks actually were doing something.
Yeah, I probably have to go with MJ because I just watched the Jordan documentary. So I just saw basically 10 hours of highlights. So I'm kind of on MJ.
Continue to be outnumbered. Gavin, one of these days we'll get a guest on this important.
No,
MJ.
LeBron James.
If not, Tracy McGrady.
Ooh,
But
that's a new one.
That's new.
That's a new one.
If he never got hurt, definitely, easily.
Easily.
One of the good.
So okay, well that brings up another thing, Zach, and I'm gonna defer to you for the last couple minutes of the show. Anthony, the best wide receiver of, or your favorite wide receiver ever?
Randy Moss.
Randy Moss.
Randy Moss, hands down, the greatest.
You kind of
Next to me.
you kind of
Great.
like mimic a Randy Moss almost. So, you know, some of us all used to watch you do. Mini Randy Moss. That should be your new nickname. I saw, you know, the speed, the athletic, to be able to go up and get the ball. Randy Moss is probably the best to ever do it.
Easy. My whole high school experiences was trying to be Randy Moss. That's all I wanted to do. That's why I wore 18. Not 84 though, 18.
Well, Zach, I'm gonna defer to you, man. Anything else you got?
I'm curious too. How close did you guys get? Did you have an opportunity to speak with any of the guys playing basketball at the time at Duke when you were during your time as a football player?
You see them a lot. All the athletic dorms are near each other. All the athletic departments are right next to each other. You see them in study hall. So, you know, I've met Kyrie. I've met Jabbar. I've seen Jabari. I know Emil, Jefferson. Pretty cool. Yeah, Zion when he was there. You see them a lot. They're everywhere.
So, how common would you say walking down the street you see a Zion Williamson?
It's pretty simple. Duke's a small campus, super small. So definitely, if they're on, most of the classes are on the main campus, so it's super easy. It's a pretty high chance. Go around 12, you'll see somebody.
What about Coach K? Any Coach K sightings?
No, you'll not see him.
Coach
I've seen Coach K twice out of my 5 years there.
Well, Coach K was the GOAT and will always be the GOAT, greatest college basketball coach of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, anything else, sir? Anything else you got?
As far as your days as a big fan of UNC, how has that changed over your experience going, instead of going to Capitol Hill, going over to Durham?
I'm not a UNC fan anymore. I would say summed up. Yeah, UNC is only like a 10-minute drive, but no, I have no reason to go over there. It's not that friendly. Definitely if you're wearing your Duke stuff, which I always am. So.
And then that game this year was great. I remember watching it, the one that went into OT. Gavin, did you get a chance to watch that game, the Duke UNC game back in early February?
Misses a mid-range. No. Makes the free throw, grabs the rebound.
Get outside and shot it. That was a great game too. Because UNC wasn't good this year. Duke was still a good team this year, but UNC was not ranked this year, and it was impressive how they were able to hold on for so long against them, and would have won the game if it wasn't for some of those plays that came up at the end in both the overtime and the end of the second half.
Oh yeah, those games doesn't matter, man. You could be terrible. Both teams could be awful, and they just play their hearts out.
That's what I like a lot about college basketball over the NBA, though. It gets entertaining. It's a shame we didn't have March Madness this year, but hopefully next year we'll be able to get it back and be able to watch potentially Duke go on to maybe climb back up to the top and be on the top again.
Hopefully. I think they got as long as Coach K's there, man.
They'll always be fighting. They'll always be in it.
Always.
Now it's been a while since I've been to Duke. I gotta go down there soon again.
I know.
That's my second home. My second home down there. Cameron Indoor Stadium. I got to go in there when there was no one else in there. The atmosphere wasn't the same. So, have you ever been to any of the basketball games down there? If so, is it really that crazy?
Yeah, it's a small gym. It's super small, and they just throw in so many people, and everybody's just screaming their lungs out. So it's pretty wild in there. It's a crazy atmosphere. Definitely fun, for sure.
I gotta go see a game one day. I know it's really expensive. And
I'll
one
take
last thing. I got you. We got to go together. Us three. We'll go down there and go see one. But my last question for you is,
Yeah.
so the coronavirus obviously is ruining a lot of things. Sports, not high school football, college football to be exact. We had our friend Dom on show yesterday. He broke down everything about high school and what they're trying to do. So, is there any talks about NCAA football? And is there anything Duke's trying to do, or do they have any plans in place that you know of? Or
From what I know they cut off non-division games at Duke. So now it's just going to be straight conference games. So that cuts down the season. I know they started, I think they reported a couple days ago. I'm not sure if they had practice yet or anything. But I don't know how college can have a season, honestly. That puts a lot of student athletes, at risk. I can see how professionals, because those are adults and, they have to get paid. That's how they kind of live. But college, they're not getting paid or getting, I guess, as much benefits from it. So I don't really see how they can have a season, but it's interesting. It's crazy. It's all crazy. I don't know how.
One thing I'd always pointed out before was that a lot of these schools are going either partially online or mostly all online. So it's kind of hard to be like, okay, we're going to send the students online, but we expect our athletes to come in today and be interacting, engaging, especially like you mentioned, not getting paid, aren't adults yet. So with that being said, it's definitely going to be a fascinating situation. Some are potentially thinking about pushing it back to the spring. It could interfere with some other sports there, but what are some of your initial thoughts on hearing that they could potentially be pushing the football programs to the spring?
That's wild. I didn't know. That's the first time I heard that. I don't know. You have to see how it all works out because I don't know what's going to happen. It might be an option for sure if they don't know if they can't have a handle on it right now. That's probably the best option you can go with. But I don't know.
We'll see what happens. Gavin, one of our catchphrases on the show really is "time will tell," and so that 100% holds true on this case. So thanks for being on again today, Anthony. We appreciate it. Hopefully we can have you on again soon. You can definitely stick around after the show. We all kind of just chill here, kind of like a Zoom call, as if we haven't had enough of those already. But other than that, everybody, thanks for watching today, and we hope to see you all tomorrow. We'll be live again at 12 o'clock. We'll see you then. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded